This is Nathan Fantasy Football League Updates. Happy Thanksgiving! Today we reveal those Week 12 results, get you my Week 13 predictions. We're going to tell you what every team is thankful for this time of year.
Weather.
Nathan, Fantasy Football League Updates. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Week 13. 2 weeks left. Playoff race continues to be sped up, and boy, are we going to have a good ending for this one, especially with these Week 12 results. So let's recap an exciting Week 12 for a lot of different reasons, and we'll start with the first matchup, the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp taking on the Zest Meisters. And how about a Monday night victory for the Zest Meisters, who pull out the 139-132 upset over the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp. And the Zest Meisters now are 6-6. They're knocking on the door of the playoffs. Cave Shrimp still in danger of falling out at 7-5. So for the Cave Shrimp, Brock Purdy goes down with an injury. They have to start Will Levis, who outperformed Russell Wilson. 16 fantasy points for Will Levis. Jonathan Taylor, for the second week in a row, does not show up. He gets 3. But how about Josh Jacobs? A hat trick of touchdowns, 28 fantasy points. Trey McBride adds 25. But outside of that, really, the roster struggled. Debo only getting 3. A big miss off the bench. Cooper Rush with 17. And Packers defense notching 13. On the other side for the Zest Meisters, Lamar Jackson's 22 fantasy points are enough to get him the victory. Well, he gets a poor performance from Christian McCaffrey and honestly Tommy DeVito. Nico Collins gets you 20 and George Kittle gets you 20, enough to get it done. Big miss off the bench, Cortland Sutton with 29 and Keenan Allen with 23 on the bench. So big win for the Zest Meisters, who stay in the playoff race. Switching gears, we go Rough Riders Avengers. The Avengers improved to 7 wins with a monster 171-102 thrashing of the Rough Riders. Rough Riders get a good performance from Bo Nix, but that's about it. Everybody else struggled. Joe Mixon with only 9. And then 2 for the Chiefs defense. Anthony Richardson only gets 12. On the other side, the Avengers. How about Patrick Mahomes finally showing up? 28 fantasy points for him. 24 from Jahmyr Gibbs. 26 from DJ Moore. DK Metcalf struggled with 9. And Mike Evans' return didn't go as planned with 11. Nick Chubb, though, 19 fantasy points. How about that? Big miss off the bench for the Avengers, 28 fantasy points for Jalen Waddle. But nonetheless, a monster victory for the Avengers. Both teams now 7-5. Things continue to get interesting. Now we move on. Empire Strikes Back taking on the Flying Squirrels. How about the Empire Strikes Back? A 148-122 victory. They continue to pile some wins together. They're still in the thick of the playoff race. Technically, they still have to win out, though. Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels officially eliminated from playoff contention. The Empire Strikes Back. Baker Mayfield, 18. Saquon Barkley with a monster 46 fantasy point game helps the Empire win this one. The rest of their team did not really contribute. Brian Robinson, 3. Justin Jefferson, 4. Puka did get 20, and then the Cardinals defense with 12 and Jake Elliott with 13. No big misses off the bench. Whereas for the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels, they get 26 from Caleb Williams, 17 from Justin Herbert, and the rest of the team really struggled. Big miss off the bench. Jordan Addison, 30 fantasy points on the bench, but the Flying Squirrels now eliminated from playoff contention. Our next matchup was a thriller. It was the Bunnies and Groundhogs. And it was the Bay City Bunnies improving to 7-5, a 172-137 victory over the Groundhogs. Groundhogs have an outside shot, but they need pretty much the Zest Meisters to lose out, as well as the Brisbane Bay Bandicoots. So, Bunnies, they get a big game from Matt Stafford, 19 for Aaron Jones, 22 and 21 for A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin, and 21 from Tony Pollard, along with the Texans defense adding 18. Big miss off the bench, 15 for Zach Ertz. And then switching gears, the Groundhogs, how about 30 from Jaden Daniels, 21 from Sam Darnold, and 20 from Devon Achane, 20 from Cooper Kupp, And then everybody else struggled. 3 for Ramondre Stevenson, 2 for Cedric Tillman, only 12 for Travis Kelce. Big miss off the bench, Jonnu Smith with 23 fantasy points. So the Bunnies feeling pretty good with their playoff spot now, 7-5, 4-8 for the Groundhogs. Big matchup coming up for the Bunnies next week. Our final matchup, our game of the week, turned out to be a really good game of the week. The Iguanas taking on the Bandicoots, and it was a 5-point victory, a 146-141 victory for the Ithaca Iguanas. That snaps their big 170-plus, I believe it was 4-game streak, but they still get a win and clinch the first playoff spot at 8-4 overall. So congratulations to the Ithaca Iguanas, who will be going back to the playoffs for the second straight year. The Bandicoots still on the outside of the bubble. We look at the Iguanas. They start Tua this week for Joe Burrow's bye. Thank goodness, because he goes off for 28. 27 from Bucky Irving, 16 from CeeDee Lamb and David Montgomery. Then Tyreek Hill struggles with 9. Brock Bowers struggles with 7, and K-Dot only gets you 4. Big miss off the bench. Michael Pittman Jr., 15 fantasy points. First time he's kind of showed up this year, really. On the other side, the Bandicoots, QBs struggled. Murray 10, Geno Smith, 12, only 11 for Kyron Williams, and only 9 for DeAndre Swift. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, 19, and 22 for Jacoby Myers. Luke Schoonmaker puts up 14, and Malik Neighbors puts up 12, and Cameron Dicker adds 16. Big miss off the bench, while Jordan Love with 14. But a tough loss for the Bandicoots, who got to get back to those winning ways. Well, the Iguanas, welcome to the playoffs, the first member of the playoff club. So this week, calling games-wise, we had 3 correct guesses to 2 wrong guesses, so not too bad. But playoffs continuing to heat up. Let's find out for our Thanksgiving feast who I think is going to win in Week 13, as well as what every team is thankful for. All right, Week 13 matchups. Teams trying to lock up playoff spots before the final week. Other teams trying to get back into the race. We've got some teams that have an outside chance and some teams that are sitting on the bubble. This is going to get interesting. One team locked in, that's the Ithaca Iguanas. One team eliminated, that's the Flying Squirrels. So let's go through these matchups. Should be a great week worth of matchups, and we'll start with the Cave Shrimp taking on the Bunnies. Last time out, the Cave Shrimp defeated the Bunnies in a solid matchup for the Cave Shrimp. They're hoping to have Brock Purdy back this week. Brock Purdy's going to be a big piece for this if the Cave Shrimp want to end their 2-game skid and lock up a playoff spot at 8 wins. 8 is the magic number for most teams at this point. I think, they get a serviceable game from Brock Purdy returning from an arm injury. Russell Wilson plays serviceable. Jonathan Taylor has a big game against New England, though. Josh Jacobs continues his trend, 20-plus points. I think Garrett Wilson hopefully plays serviceable, and Deebo Samuel needs something from him. Tyrone Tracy Jr. will start this week instead of Kareem Hunt, as Pacheco is set to come back. Don't really know what running back will look good in that one, so Tyrone Tracy will get the start this week against Dallas on Thursday night. So, on the other side, the Bunnies. They're going to get a good matchup from C.J. Stroud and Matt Stafford this week. Both will go for about 20. Derrick Henry has a decent game in the battle of top running backs between Saquon and Derrick Henry. A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin continue to trend forward, and Zach Ertz plays pretty solid instead of Sam Laporta. That was a good last-minute switch. What are these two teams thankful for? Well, the Cave Shrimp, they're thankful for their running backs. They've had really good running backs. Terrible wide receiver play from Garrett Wilson and Deebo Samuel, but Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, and, Tyrone Tracy, Kareem Hunt, even Isaiah Pacheco for those 2 weeks played pretty well. So running back room in the Cave Shrimp, they're thankful for their running backs. On the other side, the Bunnies, well, they're thankful for just Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's breakout season has been huge for the Bunnies. They've been thankful for Derrick Henry. Definitely not C.J. Stroud. So, in a 8-point spread, give me the Bay City Bunnies. A big win for them. The Cave Shrimp now are on a 3-game skid and are sitting on that bubble go rivalry week. So very interesting to see how they'll play. But I think the Bunnies have some better matchup. Their quarterbacks have good matchups. Their running backs have all right matchups. Their wide receivers have great matchups. They're going to get a bunch of points. I think the Cave Shrimp struggle to get points between their quarterback room and the wide receiving room this week. So give me the Bunnies in an 8-point spread. Bunnies lock a spot up in the playoffs. Cave Shrimp still questionable depending on other results. Matchup number 2, Iguanas already in the playoffs. Rough Riders trying to lock their spot into the playoffs. I think looking first at the Iguanas, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, both have big games again. I think the running back tandem, Montgomery and Kamara, plays serviceable. CeeDee Lamb plays well on Thanksgiving. And how about this? The last straw has been drawn. Tyreek Hill has been benched by the Ithaca Iguanas. I don't blame him. He has really struggled this season outside of week 1, really. So Tyreek Hill being benched this week for the Ithaca Iguanas, that's some pretty big news. Other than that, Brock Bowers plays pretty well, and Bucky Irving at the flex position plays pretty well. The Iguanas this year, they are very thankful for consistent offense. They've had the best offense in the league, and boy, are they thankful for that. On the other side, Rough Riders. I have to imagine Josh Allen is playing this week. He plays pretty well. Bo Nix plays well. Joe Mixon has a monster game this week. He'll play pretty well. And then the rest of the team plays fine. Theo Johnson is starting at the tight end position this week. Don't really know how well he's going to do for the Giants. I think he does, And Rachaad White at the flex position, he'll play serviceable. But the Rough Riders, they're pretty thankful for Bo Nix. The emergence of Bo Nix has really helped the absence of Anthony Richardson. So they're thankful for Bo Nix. But in a 10-plus point spread, I'm taking the Ithaca Iguanas. So once again, the Rough Riders are going to come in 7-6, along with the Cave Shrimp. Going to be an interesting rivalry next week. But give me the Iguanas to improve to an impressive 9-4 overall record. Moving on, Zestmeisters, Flying Squirrels. Zestmeisters want to win to stay in the playoff race. Flying Squirrels at this point, just trying to play spoiler. For the Zestmeisters, I think Lamar has a pretty good game. CMC struggles again this week. Chuba Hubbard has a big week. Nico Collins plays well. And Kittle and Kenneth Walker play serviceable. And they're thankful, though, for their great drafting. Let's talk about their first 2 picks. CMC doesn't play up until 3 weeks ago, and he's been meh. Chris Olave, the next round, has been injured most of the season. But Lamar Jackson, Chuba Hubbard, Nico Collins, George Kittle, Kenneth Walker have been huge late draft picks, so the Zestmeisters are very thankful for their late round drafting ability. On the other side of things, the Flying Squirrels, while they're thankful, well, we'll start with, first off, Justin Herbert has a good week. Chase Brown will have a good week. Amon-Ra St. Brown has a good week. Addison and Zay Flowers play serviceable this week for you. And what are the Flying Squirrels thankful for? They're thankful for next season. They're checked out at this point. Not physically checked out. They're still participating, but they are going to be preparing for next season, their draft picks and all sorts of things as their season is over. They just want to avoid the punishment. So the 2025 season is what the Flying Squirrels are thankful for. But in a 10-plus point spread, give me the Zestmeisters to improve to 7-6 and have a chance to make their first playoff run. And that's exciting for them. So we'll see how they do, but I've got them winning this week over the Flying Squirrels. Matchup number 4, Avengers. Groundhogs. Should be a really good matchup this week. I think they've got a lot of good talent playing and good matchup-wise. We'll first look at the Avengers. I think Mahomes goes over 20 again against a terrible Raiders team. Drake May plays well. The running back room, Jahmyr Gibbs goes over 20 again on Thanksgiving. Breece Hall has a good week. Mike Evans and DK Metcalf play serviceable. How about Mark Andrews getting in the end zone this week? On the other side, Groundhogs, Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold, both have huge games. Give me 20 plus for both of them. Devon Achane goes over 20 again. He's really hitting the motor hard. Cooper Kupp goes over 20, and Kelsey finds the end zone against the Raiders. So the Avengers, what are they thankful for? They're thankful for their team getting healthy before the playoffs. I mean, you look at this, Mike Evans has been missing. DK Metcalf has missed some time. Mark Andrews has just been absent. They've been dealing with different injuries. They're just thankful for health at the time they need it close to the playoffs. On the other side, the Groundhogs, they're thankful for their great QB, Sam Darnold and Jaden Daniels being one of the biggest steals in the draft. They are thankful for that great quarterback play. But in a 10-plus point spread, I'm taking the Groundhogs to upset the Avengers and keep a sliver of hope alive for the playoffs. Avengers will sit more on that bubble now with a loss, but I like the Groundhogs matchup, especially with a couple 20-plus point performances. And then our final matchup, the game of the week. Empire, Bandicoots. Should be a fun one. Empire have an outside chance to sneak in. The Bandicoots trying to get to 7 wins and then fight for position in the playoffs. This one should be fun. The Empire will have a decent game from Jared Goff. I think Baker Mayfield goes above 20. Saquon Barkley in the battle of top running backs goes back and forth. Brian Robinson, if healthy, plays a pretty big role in his week, gets into the end zone. Justin Jefferson has a bounce-back game. And then Puka Nacua has a 20-plus point game. On the other side, Bandicoots. I've been told quarterback is a game-time decision based on the weather in Green Bay, but Jordan Love is set to start right now. I think they get serviceable from Love and Murray. Bijan Robinson goes above 20. And how about the top scorer of the week? Kyron Williams has a monster game this week. Is it enough to help the Bandicoots, though? Jamar Chase, welcome back to the lineup, plays well, and Smith and Jigba will be the flex over Devontae Adams. He plays pretty well as well. But in a 1-point spread, in the game of the week, I'm taking the Empire Strikes Back. They've got life late here. Can they make it into the playoffs? Bandicoots are hitting the panic button as things continue to heat up and shuffle. So, give me the Empire to upset the Bandicoots in the game of the week. Things are getting exciting, guys. So that will do it. Oh! Before I can forget, the Empire, they're thankful for Saquon Barkley. He's been putting this team on his back. And while the Bandicoots on the other side, they've just been thankful for the avoidance of the big brain Band-Aids. They've had good health this season, and they are thankful for that. So that'll do it. Empire, Groundhogs, Zestmeisters, Iguanas, and Bunnies get big wins this week and make rivalry week next week more interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What Thanksgiving game are you most excited to watch? And let me know in the comments below. Do you think some teams such as the Bandicoots or Zestmeisters miss the playoffs? Or is it somebody like the Bunnies or Cave Shrimp who surprisingly slip out? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Good luck this week, and we'll see you again real soon.